RoughRiders starting a 6-game road trip and the first of 3 against the Arkansas Travelers tonight. We're here at Dickey-Stephens Park with Randy Henry. And Randy, I've never met a pitcher who doesn't enjoy pitching in this ballpark. Are you in the same boat there?
Yeah, I was watching the ball fly during BP, and it seemed like it'd be a pretty pitcher-friendly place to pitch. And also, I've had recent success here, so I'm pretty excited about being back.
I know things have not been easy for you this season, especially compared to where you were last year. How would you characterize the way things have gone for you over the course of 2014?
I would say rocky would be the way that I would probably say it. Not as sharp as I had been. I think a little bit not out of character, but just my stuff hasn't quite been the same, and I've been trying to work on some new stuff and add that into what I have, and definitely been trying to work on things and been trying to compete, and I would say my control probably hasn't been quite as good as I'd like it to, but I think everything is starting to finally come back together.
Have you been able to find out reasons why maybe the stuff hasn't been as sharp or your control hasn't been quite where it was in the past? Is that something you even care about, or is it just about finding something else that works?
I think a little bit of it's probably not necessarily confidence, but just when you go out there and you're working on things and it doesn't work the same way and not being in a rhythm. I think that has a little bit to do with it, and I think there's a couple of things mechanically that I've been trying to work on that I'm trying to get back to, that it's not necessarily that I changed anything, but when you fall into a rhythm in spring training and doing things, sometimes you just fall into a groove to where you accidentally change something and you don't know it, so I'm just trying to get back to that spot.
You started the season on the disabled list, and I'm not trying to come up with excuses for you, but is it difficult when you are not able to get that regular playing time at the start of the season? You come off the DL and all of a sudden things aren't working out for you because maybe the downtime?
I guess you could say that, but honestly, I got to work on things in my bullpen then, and obviously my arm was fresh because I hadn't pitched for that week, so I wouldn't make an excuse about that. And the best I've pitched was I threw 4 or 5 scoreless outings right after I came off the DL, so I wouldn't really make an excuse on that would have anything to do with it, because obviously I was feeling pretty good when I came off, so I wouldn't say it really hindered that. Maybe a little bit the second time when I had been pitching and then I had those like 8 or 9 days off. You definitely have to get back into game shape, but I don't think that's an excuse about competing.
You know, one person you can look back to last year would be like Luis Alverso Bonilla, a guy who went up to AAA, really struggled up there, and then came back to AA, and you saw firsthand the kind of season he had back in the Texas League. Can you look at performances like that in the past and say, okay, you know, it's possible for me to really get things back on track here?
Yeah, no, I completely think so. I don't look at it as a downgrade or like a punishment or anything like that. I think I just look at it as I need to get back here, get underneath my feet. I'm comfortable with the ballparks here. I'm comfortable with the travel. I need to get back to being myself more than anything and doing exactly what I do and not worry about the league that I'm in, the situation I'm in, the batters I'm facing, because I know if I'm throwing the way I can, then I don't have to worry about that. So I think that's most important, and it's obviously worked for him, so I know it can again.
We're here with RoughRiders right-hander Randy Henry. Randy, I want to get your thoughts on a pitcher who's no longer with the team, but you saw him a little bit this year, Phil Klein. He was a guy who you saw all year last year. He added a cutter to his repertoire, and that's certainly one of your bread-and-butter pitches. I want to get your idea as to how much he improved himself with the addition of that pitch, and just from what you saw from him last year versus what you saw in the brief time that you were teammates this year.
Well, I think I only saw him pitch one time when I came back here, when I got back. He definitely looked refined. It seemed like he's always been a good pitcher. He's always had really good stuff. He's tall. He throws hard. He'd always, I would say, he commanded the ball well. But when I came back, I noticed that he was putting the ball right where he wanted to compared to just commanding it, and he was really being able to do that. I think being able to throw the cutter in any count that he wanted to, and making the cutter and a slider, having two different types of breaking pitches, I think it really helped him. It looked like with lefties, and to me, he just looked like a really refined, very comfortable. It looked like he was a lot more comfortable, like he knew that. I mean, he's always been good, but it looked like to me he knew he was good, and he was very comfortable, and it looked like he had a lot of confidence in doing what he was doing. And I think the cutter probably did help him, having 2 different breaking pitches, or if he did fall behind in the count, he could throw that over the plate, and it wasn't a straight fastball, and he looked great to me.
You know, the cut fastball seems to be the most popular pitch for a pitcher to try and add on. And maybe 15 years ago, it was the splitter that was the pitch that everybody wanted to learn. Phil said he just kind of learned it on his own over the course of the offseason. How did you learn your cutter? Is it something that you discovered by accident, or was it something that you learned from anybody?
Well, I had thrown sinkers all before in my career, and when I was throwing sinkers, that's just all that I had thrown. And I had a pitching coach that told me that I needed to start throwing 4-seam fastballs on the inside part of a left-hander. That way the ball would stay off the plate and not come back over the plate. And when I started throwing 4-seam fastballs, it just kind of had a natural cut to it. So I used to throw just a four-seam fastball that cut, and then I started throwing the cutter because it kind of just started working. I would say my finger's a little longer than the other one. And so, sometimes in baseball, weird little things like that kind of help you. And it just started making my ball cut, and we kind of realized it when I was there with the Orioles, and then I started having success with it. And that's the year I actually got traded over here, was about the year that I figured out when I started doing that. And so I would just say, it was actually Dave Schmidt, pitched for the pitching coach for a lot of different teams, and he pitched for a lot of different teams, and he had kind of helped me with it when I first started changing that. And it was really just him trying to get me to throw a four-seam fastball, and it kind of just mutated to where you could see that it was cutting, and I started going from there.
You're obviously going to learn pitches and pitch selection from a pitching coach, but I'm always curious as to what pitchers among themselves share. Sometimes you'll hear about guys, I learned something from a big leaguer up in spring training, he showed me this, or hey, one of my current teammates does something and I try to do it one day, it worked out. How much of that happens where you're sharing notes with teammates, or where you try something and all of a sudden it maybe takes off for you or one of your teammates?
That happens every day, like people in school are studying things, or people in conferences, or it doesn't matter, Wall Street, whatever, people are trying to get information from other people, and we sit down there in the bullpen every day and talk about it. And I know Jimmy Reyes and we talk about it every day when we play catch, because we're playing catch partners, and we work on those different things. And people are asking questions over here every day, whether it be what size of bat do you use, what do you do when you see this pitch when you're batting, what do you throw in this count. I know that they tell us in spring training to use as much information as we can from the major leaguers when we go over on that side. And also, there's a lot of pitchers that I have played with, or that I'm playing with, that are going to pitch in the big leagues, that know things that you may not know. And there's different situations that they've maybe had to try it, so they've been there and you haven't been. So it happens every day, honestly. A lot of people may think that, you just go out there with your stuff and you're always throwing, but most of these guys who are going out here and throwing, and including me and everybody, there's probably at some point in time, every outing, we're working on something, whether it be that changeup you want to throw in this count, or whether you throw a different pitch in like an 0-0 count or something like that. Everybody out here is trying to get to the big leagues, and there's a reason why we're not there. So we're trying to go out there every outing we get, and as relief pitchers, you have to try things in situations sometimes when it's only an inning or you only have a little bit of time. But I guarantee it, when you're watching the game today and you maybe don't realize it, there's somebody out there who's trying to make themselves better and trying something out that they've been working on.
Randy, we've talked about how small your hometown is, Arnett. I think it's a population of a little over 500 last I saw. The town that you were born in, according to the Rangers media guide, is Shattuck, Oklahoma. I was looking up claim to fame there. It said that there's the Shattuck Windmill Museum. Ever been?
Yeah. I've been there. I've never went into the museum and actually toured it, because my town's small enough and they're a little bit bigger. So if we wanted to have Pizza Hut, or you want to eat something like that, the restaurants are there. So you'd drive over 15 minutes and get your food, and you'd bring it back. So they were also our biggest rival in basketball. So we would travel over there 2 or 3 times a year and play them in basketball and different stuff. So I've definitely been there. I would say that a lot of people from a bigger city probably wouldn't consider it a museum, because it's not very big. It's probably just a couple of windmills thrown around compared to some other places, but I've definitely been there.
So you're saying that on Friday you're looking for something to do after school with your friends in high school. You're not heading down to the Windmill Museum to kill some time?
No, I'm probably not. But if you look it up and you look up it's actually Shattuck, but if you look that up and you look up small school football, I want to say that they have the most wins in what you call small school, whatever the 3 smallest ones. I think they have the most wins in a row and most state championships in a row, which is 9 or something like that. I think they won 96 games or something like that, 96 or 100 and some football games in a row, where they have a pretty big claim to fame for that too. So they've always been a pretty good small school football team.
So football and windmills,
yeah.
Good to know. Randy, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck as you move forward here in the second half, and best of luck to the team tonight.
All right, thank you.
That's RoughRiders right-hander Randy Henry. We're back right after this here on the Frisco RoughRiders Baseball Network.